safe. Before you cross me, look both ways. Leaving the scene with no trace. None in my league. You out of place. I'm not at the top. I'm outer space. Can't eat with us. We're out of place. I'm doing fine. I'm feeling great. You're not my fan. You can't relate. Straight talk going state to state.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, your host is back. That's right. Straight Talk Wrestling returns, and I got a good one. As you can see on the screen, I have former NXT UK superstar, one of the nicest human beings in the world, and just an all-around badass. Help me welcome to Straight Talk Wrestling for the first time, not the last, Wild Boar Hitchman. How are you, sir?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no, thank you so much for coming on, man. It was like we talked about this a few months ago when you were at Battle Arts and you were one of the guest coaches for a couple weeks. And I'm so glad that we've been able to set this up. Now, I guess that leads to my first question. Coaching, is it a big part of what you do now at this stage of your career?
It's been a big part of what I do for the last 6 years, to be honest. I fell into a coaching position when the previous coach at a place called Dragon Pro was no longer able to do it. I said I'd take over for 2 weeks and just to kind of see, just to keep it running. And I've kind of been running regular coaching for the last 6 years. I don't run a school anymore though. I'm just one of the head coaches at New Wave Wrestling in Newport. But I did run around Dragon Pro, and I was in charge of that coaching for, like I said, 5 or 6 years. But yeah, it's always been, like I said, it's been a part of what I do for a long, long time. I always think it's good to, when you get to a certain level and you kind of get, you reach some sort of success, that you kind of give back and try and bring people up. Because in Wales, we have such a small area. Like the country is incredibly small, and then the wrestling scene is quite small in itself. It's getting bigger now, but like myself, Mark, Eddie, Flash, who are based in Wales, we all kind of have that. Sorry, Eddie isn't, but we have that philosophy of just giving back and bringing people up and making sure people can get cool experiences like we've been lucky enough to have in wrestling. And plus there's a lot of places out there that aren't great, and will just take money, and we're not that type of place, you know what I mean? You just want to be able to kind of give a good and safe place for people to learn and get better at wrestling,
Absolutely. And the few weeks that you guys were down here, I was able to record some of the classes, able to watch you guys in action, and it was incredible to see the mix of styles, because you come out here to the north, it's already cold, it's already uncomfortable, it's already gloomy, and you make the best of a great situation where Battle Arts Academy is is at the forefront of a training facility out here where they bring in the stars from around the world, so you can get those different perspectives, work in those different styles, and then all of a sudden you could become that hybrid, well-rounded wrestler, which is absolutely amazing. I'm sure as you coach down here, you learned a lot from the students here as you gave back.
Absolutely, 100%. Whenever you go to different places, be it in a different country or be it just down the road at another school or something that you're used to training at, you develop new ways of having to coach and having to explain certain things within wrestling and get a different way of wrestling across to the students who you're teaching, and that itself lends itself to us learning new things. But also we might show someone a way of doing something in ring, and they might have an established way of doing it, and then they do it their way, and then we see it, we haven't seen it before. And it's like, oh shit, that was really cool. That, and then that becomes, wow, okay. And then that's opened our eyes a little bit to being like, holy shit, that's another way of doing it. There's another way you can do it. I remember watching Fueza when I was over there, and he completely blew my mind with some of his movements. Like, so yeah, we do learn as much off them as sometimes they learn off us,
Absolutely. And you know what's obviously I'm a big I have, I guess you say, a UK background. I am half Scottish, very proud of that side of myself. The other half's Italian. Not to say I'm any less proud of Italian, but I am proud of the Scottish side. It kind of ties me in. And I've been very deep in the UK scene for a while, well before NXT UK. The great thing about the internet is you can just type up UK wrestling, and there are thousands of options that pop up. So seeing some of you, I actually discovered you around 2007 is when I discovered some of your early matches, because I know you debuted 2002. So I discovered you around 2008, 2009-ish. Yeah.
Wow, fair play.
Yeah.
I just had to think then, did I wrestle in 2007?
Well, I did discover a lot of stuff, and it was incredible to watch you work and then to see you pop up on NXT UK and that amazing feud that you had with Eddie Dennis. Behind the scenes, obviously, not breaking the fourth wall, you guys are very close friends. But on camera, you guys had a disdain for one another, which culminated in that epic dog collar match. That's kind of the end all be all. That's when all bets are off, all rules are out the window. The time for talking and mind games is well over, and now you're just going to beat the crap out of each other. So how did that feud for you guys culminate in that dog collar match? Could have been so many other options, but you went with probably one of the most gruesome options in wrestling.
Well, I mean, he just fit, I think. It's never been on WWE. I think the last one they did was Davey Boy Smith and Vader, potentially Vader. I think that was the last one they actually did on any WWE TV. That might have been the only one on WWE. I don't know. But when we were thinking about it, we were thinking, how, is it street fight, or is it no DQ, or is it wherever? And I was like, well, it's kind of it gets done quite a lot. Well, it doesn't get done a lot. Dog collar match. So that's kind of what we wanted, really, and it happened.
It did. It was probably one of my favorite moments of NXT UK of 2022, right before, I guess, kind of everything shut down. But being in a dog collar match, it hits different. Watching a dog collar match, it's absolutely entertaining. It's the most entertaining thing in the world. But being in it, I'm sure you come out different. Is that the case?
I mean, yeah, you can't plan, and you can't you don't really know what you're going to do, and you don't know how the chain is going to react to what you do, because the chain is an inanimate object. If you are throwing a clothesline, if you throw a suplex, you know how the other person is going to land, but what you don't know is how that person landing affects the chain and what happens to the chain once they land. And there was a couple of times where the chain whacked me in the face, so I landed on the chain, and that was something I just didn't foresee happening. So that hurt.
Yeah, no, for sure. You absolutely, you can't plan for it. I mean, Murphy's Law would come into effect for that for sure. But I got to ask this. When you guys kind of all got the notification that NXT UK was going to be no more, they were going to move away from that direction, there have been whispers and rumors of NXT Europe, which, I mean, it's in talks. We're not sure. We don't know. They've just kind of mentioned the idea, but we haven't seen anything come to fruition. What was the vibe in the locker room like? I mean, I'm assuming it was kind of a sad and unsure vibe, but when everybody was told that NXT UK was done, what was going through your head?
My head was thinking, okay, what's next? What do I want to do next? And to be honest, it was like, I want to wrestle. I want to go places I wasn't able to go for a couple of years, being on a contract, and Canada was one of them. That came up, and we did that, and that was really cool. And I just thought, okay, well, this is a bad situation, but I can dwell on that. I can let that kind of get me down and think of all this other stuff that I'm maybe not going to do, and there's lack of security. Or I can just think, well, I can just wrestle. I can kind of do bits that I weren't able to do beforehand. And I feel like I've done that, and I'm enjoying what's happening now. I'm coaching a lot more, resting a lot more. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, in conclusion, it was a bad situation, bad thing to happen, but then you make the most of it, right? Because otherwise you just dwell. You sit on it and you dwell, you get down, and it affects you. And I didn't want to do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you posted a picture a couple of days ago, might have been a week or so ago now. You are expecting, you're going to be a papa. How
Yeah.
excited is that, man?
Yeah.
You're going to be a
I'm
dad.
very excited. Yeah, I'm very excited. Very, very excited. Yeah, no, I know that we've been trying for a bit, and it finally happened. And yeah, it just don't really know what to expect, but I'm looking forward to it. We both are, you know.
Absolutely. Listen, I am a dad of two beautiful girls. They are my life. Girl dads, I got to tell you, just being a dad in general is awesome. But being a girl dad is the coolest thing in the world because
No.
I'm able to do things with my daughters. I will not, I'm not ashamed to admit it. Listen, I've been at a tea party. I have had my nails painted. I have had makeup put on. That's what girl dads do. And there's nothing to be ashamed of. And just to see them grow up into a beautiful, well-rounded young girls, and then eventually beautiful, well-rounded women, that's every father's dream. And
Yeah.
I can't be more ecstatic about that. So congratulations to you and the missus. And I hope that whatever you have, boy or girl, I know that you guys are going to be amazing parents. And I mean, the coolest part about that is now you can introduce the next generation to wrestling. That's the coolest part.
Funny you say the girl dad thing, because it's a girl, a little girl we're having.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a really cool cool thing for us as well. But yeah, I feel like unless something changes and I just stop watching wrestling, which I can't see happening because that hasn't happened in like 30 odd years. And my partner loves wrestling as well, so they will be wrestling on in this house a lot, and they will be wild boar masks, and they will be other stuff around the house. So they are going to be, whether they, you know, they might hate it, they might grow to resent it because they see it all the time, but they will be around it. So I feel like it's going to go one way or the other. I don't know.
Listen, wrestling was in our house forever. My wife and I are both big wrestling fans. The kids gravitated towards it. We never forced it. We just put it on in the background. Oh, who's that, Dad? Who's that, Dad? The first match I ever showed the mini host, one of the first matches, was SummerSlam. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio. The fight for Dominic. I mean, that's a classic match. Who custody battle for Dominic? And I just remember I remember the mini host looking at me. She's like, "Dad, who's the guy with the mask?" I'm like, "Well, that's Rey Mysterio. He's like a goat." And then she's like, "Who's the other guy?" I'm like, "That. I mean, that is again another goat." What?
That's the other goat. Yeah.
You're watching two goats. You're watching Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio. So she's like, "Oh, I gotta watch this." And then she saw the stuff with the ladders, and she was hooked. She actually would only watch ladder matches for a very long time until I kind of branched her out and showed her the other things. But ladder matches, she still gravitates to and loves ladder matches to this day. So don't worry about that. If you just have it in the background, they'll find it on their own. They will find it on their own. Good. So I got to ask this. Have there been any interest or any words from, because we all know that AEW is going to UK. They are going to have a couple shows here. Have there been any interest or any garnage from AEW in terms of getting some of you guys to appear on AEW Dark when they do go over there?
Nope.
Nothing.
No. I've not been contacted. Nope.
Okay. All right. I was curious. I asked a couple fans. I told them I was going to be sitting down with you. Like, well, ask him if he's going to be on it. So I asked, and there's the answer. That's the answer. But you never know.
Hey man. I mean, I would jump at a chance, but nothing as of yet.
Okay. All right. Well, fingers crossed, because I got to see Wild Boar back on my TV, because he's a genuine human being and he's a hell of a wrestler. So, and the cool thing is that not a cool thing, but when you were down here, I know you were battling or recovering from an injury, but you were still in the ring. You were still helping the students train. I mean, when you're not at 100%, but still to be able to give that guidance and even go in the ring and do some lockups, do some maneuvers, do some stuff. How important is that to like when you're coaching? You could easily be on the outside of the ring if you wanted to and just say, "Okay, guys, do this, this, and this." But to get inside and show them, even when you're not at 100%, that shows a testament to who you are as a person. So, I mean, that's amazing to do that. But how was that? Were you worried that you might aggravate it further?
No, I think Eddie was, but yeah. I feel I teach better when I'm hands-on. I'm more physical than I am like spoken word, right? So if I'm showing a certain technique, I need to be able to do it. Plus, I feel like if you're coaching someone, you should be able to practice what you preach. So if I'm as much as possible, don't get me wrong, there's certain things I can't do that I ask other people to do because I know that they are more physically capable than I am, right? But most things I will do myself. So I show people to do. That's why I teach a certain style, because I know that that is the way that I do it. And like I said, when I was in Canada, I was getting more comfortable with my arm. It was coming, a lot of movement was coming back. A lot of power was coming back because we had access to the fantastic facilities there. We was able to use the gym every day. So as I was getting more confident, I was kind of doing a little bit more things, and I could see Eddie at the corner of my eye, Hitchman. And I was like, I'm okay, Eddie. I'm all right. And he was like, stand over there. You talk and I'll demonstrate. And I was like, yeah, all right. Yeah. I mean, it's probably for the best. So I am glad that Eddie was there to rein me in a little bit and be like, "Oi, no, like, sit away from me. I know you can do it. I know you think you can do it, but we don't need to risk it right now. So sit over there." And he was right. Like I said, I'm glad he was there to do that, because like I could especially when wrestling's involved, I can get carried away.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that he was there. I mean, he was there in spirit of Mrs. Hitchman to make sure that nothing else got worse. So he was probably more concerned about if he had to call her and say, so he decided to do something and he shouldn't have done, and now and she would have been on the next plane to smack both of you. She absolutely would have.
Yeah, I think you're right there, actually.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. I mean, he was definitely concerned for his friend, but he was more concerned about what may happen if Mrs. Hitchman found out what was going down. So that's for sure. So NXT UK, great run. You guys left a body of work that is easily accessible now and forever under a lot of platforms.
Yep.
Even though it was cut short, and I don't think it ever reached its full peak or its full potential of what it could have been, there definitely was a lot of memorable moments, and some great stars came out of there, and a lot of you guys became, household names. What was your fondest memory of NXT UK, or what is obviously I know you're proud of that dog collar match. We talked about it off camera numerous times, but any other moments or memories stick out to you of something that that was a cool moment, or I'm proud of that work that I did there?
I'm just proud. I'll be honest, like, I don't want this to sound like a cop-out answer, but I am proud of what I did there. I feel like as I was there, and the more I did, the more work I did, more training, etc., I felt like I gained the trust and kind of the trust and a little bit of respect of people who kind of work behind the scenes. If they weren't that familiar with my stuff beforehand, they seen my stuff and it was like, okay, well, he's good, he works hard, he's getting it, So that is the main thing. I really enjoyed tagging with Primate. That was a highlight. Like, I really enjoyed working with Imperium when they were there. I worked with Gallus, Like I said, I'm very proud of the entire thing, and I'm very proud of NXT UK as a whole with what we achieved and some of the matches that went out of there. When we were at the PC once, Mr. Regal was saying about how he believes going forward that people are going to look back at some NXT UK matches like some people would look back at the WCW Cruiserweight matches. Maybe not appreciated in the time as much as they probably should be, but when you look back and you think, oh shit, that was good, and then it's like, and I do believe that. I do believe we were putting on as a brand as a whole. I think some of the matches we were putting on were outstanding, world class, and could stand there with anyone.
I agree. I think a lot of the matches will age like a fine wine. I tuned into NXT UK as much as I possibly could, and when I couldn't, that was the great thing about the network. You could always catch up. It was very easily accessible to catch up. You miss a few weeks, oh, cool, I got a Saturday off for like 4 hours. I know what I'm doing. I'm going to have it on the background. I'm going to do my stuff and catch up. And you know what? It never disappointed. To me, it hit different. And if NXT Europe comes to, fruition and it actually becomes a thing, to think of the matchups and the stars we could see from different continents around Europe would be absolutely amazing. And I think it would be foolish for them not to bring back some of those NXT UK guys, because most of you were staples. Most of you were given a shot and an opportunity to be like, listen, you got to understand that we're trying to build this brand out here. But these North American fans, I'll be honest with you, North American fans over here, as much as we pride ourselves on being the best wrestling fans, we are fickle as fuck. We complain about everything and we have appreciation for nothing. It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't. It doesn't matter what you did yesterday, because we only care about what you did today. It doesn't matter what we now. That's true and untrue in some ways. Like you said, a lot of matches, they age like a fine wine. They get better with time. You look back at Halloween Havoc, Rey Mysterio, one of the best matches of all time. And I'll put that up to anybody. And that outfit, that jumpsuit that he wore is so iconic. I mean, I have the action figure with that purple outfit. Like, that's a match in time, a moment in time.
That one's interesting though, right? Because when did that become regarded as one of the best matches of all time? I didn't watch it at the time. I wasn't watching WWE at the time, but was it regarded as one of the best matches of all time when it happened? I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
No.
It's only when, the people in the know start, maybe wrestlers start going, "Oh, this is class," and just keeps on getting thrown at you, and then you see it, and then you realize, holy fuck, that was insane. And then people are getting gear based off what way of what Eddie and Ray wore in that match. It's wrestling's so interesting like that, isn't it? Like, a great match isn't always a great match when it happens. That match becomes great over time because of the myth, kind of, not myth. That's a wrong word.
The legacy, the urban legend of it. Yeah.
Yes, and the legend of that match just grows and grows and grows over time. But then matches like that match you just talked about, Ray and Eddie, when you do watch that back, it holds up.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it holds up massively.
Oh yeah, another match that holds up for me all the time. I watch it every year. The day, WrestleMania day, I always go back to this match. WrestleMania 10, Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, brother versus brother. That is one of my all-time favorite matches, and I've watched that match 1,000 times, Hitchman, 1,000 times. And you know what? I still, to this day, I always find something different, something I didn't see before, or something I forgot about. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. That's amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Matches like that, when they can stand the test of time and storytelling, that's when it hits different, man. And that's what, if you're not a wrestling fan, you don't get it. You don't get the storytelling that's being told. Oh, it's just two guys in a ring. No, it's so much more than that. It's so much more than two guys or two girls. Or there's a story with no. I call it the great dance, because when you find that fight forever partner, or you find that partner that you have that chemistry with, like you said, it hits different. I do think it. It's not because you're on my show and I'm not kissing your ass. I'm being honest with you. I think that dog collar match will be one of those matches that grows through the ages. I absolutely do. I think you and Eddie, you guys absolutely killed it. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie, if Eddie was here, I would say this in front of him. I was pulling for you. I think a lot of fans were pulling for you in that story, because Eddie was just such a jerk. Eddie was a dick. That story,
Eddie can be a piece of shit when he wants to.
Absolutely.
And he was operating on peak level piece of shit.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he absolutely was. And you know what? Good on you. If he ever steps out of line again, like if you guys are ever back at Battle Archer and you're coaching again, and he's like, "Hey, Hitchman, take it easy," you'll be like, "Listen, I pack the dog collar all the time. We can go again. I have it with me. We can go again. Don't you step out of line." So, William Regal, you talked about that. We know he is an iconic wrestling mind. He is a wrestling mind. There'll never be another wrestling mind like him. You look at minds in the business, he stands up there with the test of time. His ability to pull the best out of you, pull something out of you that you never thought was possible. And I know that he worked with a lot of you guys over there. NXT UK was something he took a lot of pride in, because it was something he wanted to build, and he did build it. He did help build it extremely well. Do you have a moment or a memory or a funny anecdote, something that happened with William Regal and you that, is something that you look back and you're like, that was so cool?
I mean, so when he first started coming over to help with us, I think we were like, we were a good couple of years in before he made the trip over. I can't remember why, but in the first couple of years, maybe first 2 years, was the coaches were Robbie Brookside and Johnny Moss, who were absolutely incredible British professional wrestlers, right? And that's the best coaching, the best learning experience I've ever had in wrestling. And then Regal started coming over, and he would talk to all of us. Like we'd be split into different groups, and we'd be in ring practicing and stuff like that, and running drills. And then he would come over and just kind of sit there and then critique and speak afterwards, and then we'd watch our matches back, and he would then talk about the matches. We'd watch old World of Sport matches or British matches, and he'd talk about like old times and like his beliefs about wrestling and what should and shouldn't happen. And there's nothing specific, but the best, like just having him around and having his mindset and his advice on everything and how he believed wrestling should be was just invaluable. Like us and that, like I love NXT UK. I love being there, and I'm so thankful to be able to be exposed to that, the incredible wrestling minds that they have there. Then you've got your Shawn Michaels as well, you know, which is another level of in-ring psychology. But yeah, like I remember him talking before he spent about half an hour talking about why pins are important and why you have to pin in a certain way and why doing it this way is good, doing it this way doesn't make sense. And that stuck with me. And that's stuff that I try and I push to my students now in New Wave. Pins, making things matter, not doing things for the sake of doing it. You know, all these things that would seem like common sense, but unless you're told it by someone who knows, it's not confirmed, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. Yeah, it absolutely does. It's stuff like that you hear is so cool because it's a small detail in a match. I mean, yes, it is the culmination of every match. That pin is so important, but just to hear how he spent 30 minutes telling you about why that culmination point, why that pin is so effective, because a pin draws out so much emotion. I mean, you think of one of the greatest pins of all time, Brock Lesnar breaking the streak on The Undertaker. We still see those faces of people like, you know, like a pin can change the complexity of a crowd in an instant. If they're going for one guy and then the pin happens and it's the other guy that wins or the other girl that wins or whatever, you're just sitting there going, oh, fuck. The air just got sucked out of this room because people are the
execution of the pin as well, right? If you down someone with a big move and you just lie on their belly, why should I care? Like you obviously, so you don't know how to pin a person then, because you pin the shoulders to the mat. So if you're not covering the shoulders, are you really pinning someone? If you don't attempt to cover the shoulders, do you really give a shit about winning? If you're hooking the leg and you don't hook the leg while covering the shoulders, does it really make a fucking difference? You know, like, do you want to win? If I'm watching you, do I care about you wanting to win? Because you clearly don't care about winning because that pin is crap. Right? And we go into the details now where I don't think we got enough time to talk about all this in depth. Like I said, I will talk utter shit for hours about it.
Absolutely. But just to my point, those small details matter, and they really do change the complexity of the story that you're trying to tell in the ring. I do have to ask this: if NXT Europe does come to fruition and the opportunity to go back is, because when you're in the WWE machine, you're blessed with a lot of things, job security, every day, you know where you're going and what you're doing. But then there's that unsure, then sometimes you can get lost in the shuffle, if that makes sense. Being in the WWE machine, a lot of people say it's a blessing, but it also could be a curse. If you're no longer in the WWE machine, it's hard to get back to that same pinnacle of success. Would you say that is a true scenario?
I feel like if you're in WWE, you find success within WWE, right? If you're not in WWE, then you find success in independent professional wrestling. I mean, there is a danger of getting lost in a shuffle if you are there. There's also a danger of getting lost in a shuffle if you aren't there on the independents. Granted, one is more up to you than the other, but at the end of the day, it does come down to promoters want to use you, do promoters not want to use you? Do writers want to use you? Do they not want to write? Do they not want to use you? Do you know what I mean? So as much as I see what you're saying, I feel like it is a little bit even, whichever way whichever one you're in. That's my take on it anyway. You know, I feel like I don't ever really want to blame someone else for my lack of success really. Like if I don't get to that point where I want to be, ultimately it is down to me in some form or fashion, because I don't feel like putting the blame outwards is helps anyone. If I want to improve and I really want to improve and I really want to get better, there's multiple things I can do that. You know, I can get in better shape. I could change my style a little bit. I could change my look a little bit. And that's WWE or outside WWE. I don't think it matters where you are. Wrestling's wrestling. And if someone sees something in you, they will use you. If they don't, they won't.
You know, it's the answer I knew I was going to get, and it's the simplest answer, and it's the right answer. So thank you for that. But NXT Europe, if it does come to fruition and there's an opportunity to go back, and you know you get reached out, you get contact again, would you go back?
I mean, I'd speak to him. I don't know. You don't know the situation. You don't know what life is going to be like should that question be thrown at you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so I don't want to say either way, because I don't know.
Absolutely. But thinking of all the matchups from all different wrestlers around, like, I mean, Europe, the wrestling scene over in Europe is phenomenal. It really is. I've never been over there, but I've had wrestlers from here go over there, and going over to Germany, going over to Spain, going over to every different part. Just thinking of the matchups in my head of what could happen. Oh man, it's very cool as a wrestling fan. It's almost like that forbidden door of Europe to see, you know, those UK guys going up against the Italian guys, going up against Spanish guys, going up against all over the matchups that can happen would be absolutely insane. And the knowledge base that you have, it would be incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I totally agree. We got some mad talent in this country and Europe at the minute. And I feel like since NXT UK guys have kind of gone away, and new crop of people have come up, and now we're back. We're kind of in amongst it, mixing around with those talents, and now everything's just up here is fucking great at the minute, you know.
Absolutely. Was there ever a lull with the British wrestling scene or the UK wrestling scene like there was here in North America for a minute? There was a little bit of a lull. It kind of subsided wrestling for a bit, and then it picked back up again. Did that happen over there as well, or has it always been kind of strong?
I think it definitely, there probably was I think there was a lull when some of us in NXT UK were restricted from working certain places, because then the people who were kind of on the top of the scene weren't. So then it kind of affected certain things. But I think since then, like I said earlier, all the talent has gone up, you know, and the spaces at the top that were empty have now been filled, and now people have come back, and there's more people at the top, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and it's all about chasing. It's all about chasing for that top spot. I know that you and Pete Dunne, behind the scenes, you're running the same circles, and you guys are friends. What do you think about the success that he's getting over there? I mean, the Brawling Brutes, it's an amazing. I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of the Butch thing. They should have let him just stay with the Bruiserweight, but I'm not creative. I'm not asking your opinion on Butch, the name Butch, but what do you think of Pete Dunne and the success that he's having over there?
I mean, he is fucking killing it, and he deserves every bit of success that he gets. Very few people in wrestling that I've met work as hard as him and worked as hard as him early on to get to where he is now. And he's just, well, every time I see him, every time I know he's having a match, I'll go out my way to watch that match, because I know it's going to be class. One of my favorite matches I've seen him have, this is in NXT when he was Pete Dunne, him and Finn Balor from, I think it was like, no, I don't think there was any fans there. If it was, there was like maybe the Performance Center people there, but that was like, fuck, what a match. And he's like, yeah, like I say, I just think this is class. But see him when he made fucking rock up on WWE pay-per-views and stuff like that, rock up on Raw, rock up on SmackDown, regular on SmackDown. I think he's in SmackDown Open. Mm-hmm. Right? It's fucking wild.
Yeah, it is.
Like I say, he's getting everything he deserves. He's fucking class, and he deserves that ammo.
Absolutely, 150%. Like I said, I just wish they would have let the Pete Dunne Bruiserweight character. Actually, some of my favorite matches were when he was with Matt Riddle. When they were they were so good, man. They were coming up with the golf cart stuff. Yeah, no, they were so good. They were absolutely so good. You're right. He's absolutely class and stuff like that. And everything he's earned for, he's getting. And I guess that seeing the success that he's getting, I mean, that rubbed off on all you guys, right? Like if he can go to the main show, we can make NXT something special, NXT UK something special, and we can all go to that main show. And I think you guys, like I said, I think NXT UK, it will age like a fine wine, and it'll get better over time. And that's a credit to all of you guys over there because you all busted your ass. And is there anybody on the NXT UK roster that you never got a chance to work with that you wish you could have while you were there?
Ilya.
Yeah.
Ilya Dragunov. I never got a chance to work. I did some, we have worked together in like training. We like worked around together, but we've never done anything bell to bell. And that's one that I'd really like to do.
Yeah, that would have been fire.
So him, I think I've wrestled everyone else.
I'm pretty sure you have. You actually
over the year, because most of us were on that roster kind of started around the same time. So when we were all kind of learning to wrestle and going around the scene, going up and down the country and stuff, we kind of met each other then. So we kind of all knew I've worked with Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, Wolfgang. Noam Dar, I've never wrestled, and I'd like to wrestle Noam Dar. So I think my top two would be Noam and Ilya.
I think those are two excellent choices. I think both those matches, you guys would tell one hell of a story. Absolutely one hell of a story. Now, because you're in the scene over there and you're with the coaching and stuff like that, is there anybody in the UK scene right now that you think wrestling fans over here should pay a little bit of attention to? Anybody that you see that could be a big household name given the opportunities?
Well, yes. So, you know, OJMO, Michael Oku, just in PWG, Battle Los Angeles. He's a fantastic talent. You got Connor Mills, Leon Slater is doing some stuff with GCW. I'm sure a lot of people know who he is by now. He's absolutely fantastic.
Oh yeah.
So young as well, and so talented. We got a boy training with us now called James Ellis, Welsh boy. There's you got Danny Jones, who's done some stuff with NXT UK. Bronco Brendan White. Those two tagged together, and they're doing a lot of stuff. They are very, very busy at the minute, doing a lot of stuff. They're Rev Pro Tag champions. They are Riot Cabaret champions. They've just been over at WXW, did a weekend tour in Germany. Nico Angelo is another one from Wales, who's blowing up a little bit over here. There is a lot. I could be naming these for quite some time. There's another one who deserves a shout out called, his wrestling name is Splits McPins. He's a Attack original. He's like a luchador, like a bowling luchador.
I like that.
He's very, very good, and he has cardio for days. He's good. I hope he gets more chances to kind of break out and show his stuff because he's fantastic. I wrestled a lad called Shane Hooker the other day. He was really, really young at New Wave, and he is going to be fantastic. He's so athletic. I remember this boy in particular. He dropped myself, Flash Morgan Webster, Mark Andrews a message on Twitter a couple of years ago, before COVID and stuff, and he asked about training, and he sent us some clips, and it was him in I think his dad owns like a theater, but he was in this theater. He had like mats on the floor, and he was doing mad flips off this like theater stage onto these things. He was climbing up ladders, and he was jumping onto these things, and he was like showing us these clips, and we were like, holy shit. One, this is wild. Two, he needs to be careful because he's really young and he's jumping off fucking balconies onto wherever. But because a lot of us kind of started backyarding and kind of doing it for ourselves, because there's not a scene in Wales, and we didn't really know where we could train or how to get into pro wrestling, so we just kind of did it ourselves because we wanted to wrestle. When we saw that, we were like, oh fuck, this is quite familiar, right? And then we just messaged him, and just I remember saying to him, like, this is, find a reputable school when you turn 18, because he was really young at the time. So find a good school, and then whatever. And I wasn't really running the school at that point. And then to come fast forward a couple of years, and I'm wrestling him on one of the shows of the academies that I'm a coach of, and for him to do so well and be so athletic and kind of do all this mad stuff was really cool. And I think he's one to look out for. We've got a numerous bunch of. I'm gonna have to narrow it down to New Wave and Welsh, because I will be all over the UK, right? But honestly, anyone coming from New Wave, they are going to be good, right? They are going to be good. Trust me on that, because they've had the right training, and they've been exposed to a lot of different styles. Brendan, Dan, myself, Mark Andrews, we all kind of do bits and pieces. Nico Angelo jumps in as well. So they've got a range of they got grappling, they got brawling, they got high flying, they got all this stuff with a mix of good psychology and all this. So anyone from this school is going to be fucking sick.
Absolutely.
And a very long-winded answer. I apologize.
Hey, I was okay with the long-winded answer, because some of those names that you did mention I did know, but some you did mention I didn't know. So once we hop off, I'm gonna have to start, internet creeping and look at people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure I've missed a load out as well. I'm sure I've missed a load. So if anyone listens to this and I haven't named you, and you're on that level, I apologize. But there's a lot of fucking people in this country who are wicked right now. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely. Listen, the answer was long, but it was perfect, because it basically says that the scene over there is incredibly healthy, and we're going to have a lot of great talent for a very long time. So that's incredible. And you also gave some great advice that a lot of wrestlers that I've interviewed have given, which is find that reputable school, find that school that is gonna give you the knowledge, and make sure you're able to do this safely, take care of yourself, and take care of the other person in the ring, because safety first. And I've seen a lot of bad things happen when guys aren't properly trained, and it's unfortunate.
Off the back of that as well, if you are a student, if you are a prospective student and you're looking to get into wrestling, reputable school, who have they produced? Mm-hmm. The trainers, and what do the trainers do what have they done, right? See what because these are the important things, right? If people are if a trainer is working around the country on a regular basis, every weekend, 3 times a weekend, wherever, and they're doing well, they're working for good promotions, that to me says, like, I'll train with that person. If they have 15 years, if they say I've been wrestling for 15 years, okay, sick. What have we done for 15 years? Look into them, because a lot of people will say I've been wrestling for 15 years and they've had one match every year, right? To some people that is right? Or they're working or they're wrestling in front of nobody, right? So it's very important for safety, and just not throw your money away. Look into who's training people, where do you bit of common sense when you really look into it,
Absolutely. No, you're 100% right. Look into the school, look into the trainers, look into who they produced, and make sure that that's a comfortable environment for you, because you have to be comfortable as well. So that's a great thing. And I think that's an incredible way to end this conversation. Wild Boar, was an honor to speak with you. You're an incredible talent. You're an amazing person. I know we had some internet issues on my end, but hey, we made it through, and it was perfect. We got it. Yes.
I appreciate having me on. It was really good fun. Really good fun to catch up with you again.
Absolutely. And listen, don't be a stranger. You're part of the Straight Talk family, my friend. Anytime you want to come back, you got something to promote, please, by all means, I would love to have you back on the show. Before you leave, if anybody's not following the journey that is Wild Boar, I don't know why, they're stupid, but please shout out your socials so everyone can keep tabs on everything that Wild Boar Hitchman is doing. I
don't know my socials off by heart. However, if you go on Instagram, you go on Twitter, or you go on Facebook, and you look for Wild Boar Mike Hitchman, Wild Boar Hitchman, Wild Boar Hitch.
Yeah,
I think it's Twitter actually. Yeah. Anyway, if you look for Hitchman and Wild Boar in the search thing, you will probably find me.
There you go. That's perfect. I love that. I don't know my socials, but look for these things and you'll find me. Just keywords, guys. Keywords. That's it. Wild Boar Mike Hitchman, thank you so much, man. It was an honor to catch up with you again. Honor to speak with you again. Honor to get that knowledge from you, because, man, you are filled with knowledge, and I can't wait to see you in person again. And next time I do, I have to get a photo to add you on the wall.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
100%.
All right, guys, that's it for this one. Peace, love, and wrestling. We'll see you next week. Peace. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to tune in next week for another great episode on all available podcast platforms and hosted on Podbean. Also, check us out on YouTube at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Instagram at Straight Talk Wrestling, on Facebook at Straight Talk Wrestling, and on Twitter at _Straight Talk. And if you feel the need to buy some sweet merch, check us out on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Leaving the scene with no trace, not in my league. You out of place. I'm not at the top. I'm outer space. Can't eat with us. We're out of place. I'm doing fine. I'm feeling great. You're not my